Hi guys. So I know you guys already kind of know what this video is going to be about because of the title of the video, but I was really hesitant on making this video at least so soon into my YouTubing, because originally I started my YouTube channel because I wanted to help other nursing students out or pre-nursing students out with information, and I just want to tell you guys that I am still going to make my nursing videos just to help out other people, and so don't worry, that is not going to change until I run out of content for that. I have a lot of things to say because there's a lot of things that I did not know about nursing that I know would be helpful for a lot of you guys. So just keep your eye out for those if you're specifically looking for the nursing videos. I never imagined that I would be making this video. I never imagined I'd be making this decision. Honestly, it was a huge battle for me for a lot of months, a lot of weeks, a lot of years even, and I'm going to get into it with you guys now, explaining from the very beginning as best as I can how I've always felt, everything that I went to that led me up to this decision. So let's get into it. So I just went down to California last weekend and told all of my family, and before that I told my parents, because if you don't know, most of my family lives in California. We're the only ones that live in Nevada. Honestly, telling my parents was super hard because they're honestly the reasons why I was doing nursing. I've invested a lot of time, years, and money from my parents, from loans, from my own pocket into this career choice, and I just didn't want to feel like I was letting anybody down. But the longer I kept pretending that this is what I wanted to do, the more it was hurting me emotionally and mentally, and sometimes like physically, because I just didn't want to move. I didn't want to get out of bed. I didn't want to do the homework. I didn't want to anything, but I also didn't want to fail my classes and waste more money and things like that. So telling my parents was really hard, even though I was really excited and happy about my decision. And I made the decision obviously before I talked to them. I thought about it really hard, really long. I had a lot of anxiety debating between making that decision or not. When I told them, the conversation with them went a lot better than I thought it was going to be. At the same time though, they basically told me that they were not happy with the decision and they didn't agree with my decision. So I am still waiting for them to come around to that. I'm sure they will eventually. I know everyone goes through this, whether it's with school or something else. They don't want to disappoint their parents, and maybe their parents are disappointed, but they come around to it, and I know they still love me, and I know they're still proud of me no matter what I do. They even told me that. So it still wasn't everything that I'd hoped for in the conversation with them. That was the best that I got, and I'm okay with it for now. I did tell all my family members in California. First of all, I started off with my grandparents because they did help me financially and they were all excited for me. And so when I told my first grandparents, they're actually from Mexico, and I'm sure this would have been a really big accomplishment for them as their grandchild, but I don't think my grandma was too happy about it, but she understood. I mean, it was my decision to make anyways, and there's nothing she could do. But I just tried to explain it the best that I could to her about why I came up with this decision and why it was the best decision for me. And my other grandparents, I was kind of worried about them the most because they played a big part in helping me financially with the college, and I didn't want to make them feel like they wasted their money and like I was like a lost cause or anything like that. But when I told them, the first things that they said were they weren't disappointed and they totally understand because they've been there, and what they've learned throughout their whole life is that it just matters that you're happy and healthy. And honestly, that made me feel 100 times better, because that's what I've just been trying to say to begin with about this to my parents. And the fact that they didn't agree with it, but my grandparents agreed with it, made me feel 100% confident in my decision, and know that I wasn't hurting other people, and that it is all about being happy and healthy in life. And I know that I'm not a bad person, and they told me the same thing, that they know, you know, as long as you know you're not making bad decisions and you're a good person, then just do what you think is right and what you have to do, because you're not living for anybody else but yourself. And I was so happy. We had a very long, deep conversation about everything, and they told me just to hang in there and everything would work itself out, and I believed them. I also told my aunt and uncles. One aunt and uncle were super excited for me, and then another ones were understanding because their daughter actually just graduated as a nurse. They can see how hard nursing is. Nobody really knows unless you're in the program, but they could see from a view how hard nursing school is, and that if your heart isn't in it, there's no way that you're even going to be able to pass a semester. My uncle actually had a major career change later on in his life, so he was really talking to me a lot about that, and that made me feel a lot better, because honestly I could see how happy he is with his career and how much he loves it, how much, you know, he doesn't hate going to work every day. So it's just an example of how things can turn out, whether you change it now at the age of 23 like I am, or a couple years down the road when you're in your 30s. So that is how the conversation went when I told all of my family members. A lot better than I expected, and I just feel 100% happy with my decision, happy with where I am in life. I do not regret it at all. Of course, I wish I could have come to this decision sooner, but it is what it is, and this is where I am, and I'm thankful to know that, you know, I tried my hardest, and I really thought about coming to this conclusion and not just making a rash decision. So let's jump into how this all started. So I don't know if I've mentioned it in my other video. I said that I wanted to be a nurse since I was probably like 5 years old, give or take a year, and I really did. I was really excited about it. The reason that made me come to that decision was I had a younger brother, and he had a seizure because his fever was so high. My mom had no idea like what to do. From what I've heard, you know, from the stories, I don't know if it's being over dramatic or not, but I handed her the phone and I dialed 911 for her, and I handed her the phone to talk to them. And my brother got carried out in an ambulance and taken to a hospital. He was okay, everything was fine, they just had to get his fever down. But after that, I was into watching untold stories of the ER and like trauma stories of the ER, things like that, you know. And so I watched those videos or those shows a lot when I grew up. I was just very interested in it. I knew as I got older I was not a person to be sitting at a desk 9 to 5, same old routine type of girl. So I really couldn't picture myself doing anything else. I was 100% dedicated to saying I wanted to go to school to be a nurse. I got the grades, I was always a good student. I actually was fortunate enough to get into a college out of state with a scholarship. It wasn't a full ride, but it was a good scholarship, and I would have been automatically placed in the nursing program starting off with my prereqs. I wouldn't have to apply after prereqs to get into a program, and that was phenomenal. I had already previously lived in California half of a school year. It wasn't that long because I didn't like it, honestly. I've lived in Nevada since I was in 3rd grade, and when I was a junior in high school, my family thought we were moving back to California. So first, to try it out, my dad got a job, and I went and I lived with my dad in California because I said I wanted to get I said I wanted to get in-state tuition for college. I thought I wanted to go to college in California, so I went with my dad until we could get settled and the rest of my family could come with us. But it was really, 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 really hard. I've honestly dealt with bad depression. I've had episodes, you know, like my whole life. I honestly, since like middle school, and probably anxiety. I didn't know it until recently, but so when I moved out there with just my dad, with no car, with no friends really, I had all my family out there, but everyone of course was at work, doing their own school, doing their own life with their own friends and things like that, so I didn't see them as much as I thought I would, like I normally did on vacation. So when I lived down there, it was really hard. I felt really alone. My family would come visit me from Vegas, and I would literally be bawling my eyes out, like begging them to take me with them back to Vegas, and I would be freaking out, asking my dad if we could go back home all the time, and it was just really hard. And sorry. So I knew that I wasn't going to like I'm gonna have to stop. So we made the decision to move back home and to Vegas, which I now call home. And after that, everything was fine. I felt great. I kind of started, you know, I kind of started trying to like make myself feel happy. So I didn't do any extracurriculars. I didn't do swim or band my senior year, and I was totally happy with that, being with my friends, not being so involved with extracurriculars, and you know, focusing on school and my friends. That was basically it. So I applied to colleges, and I got accepted into that California college, and I didn't want to take it. My parents were very disappointed that I didn't want to take it. They thought it was a great opportunity, and so did I, but at the same time, I just knew in my heart that I was not going to be okay if I went to school out of state, whether it was California, whether it was in Washington, Texas, anything like that. Like, I just did not want to do it. So that was a little bit hard for them to swallow, but they said, fine, you'll go to UNLV, which is the university out here. We already knew going into it that getting into the nursing program was going to be significantly hard, because a lot of people at UNLV want to go for nursing, and I'm sure it's the same thing everywhere else. Nursing is a very competitive field. A lot of people think they can get into it, and they ultimately have to get crazy high GPAs, and even if you have a high GPA, doesn't mean there's a spot for you, and you might have to wait a semester, you know, a year. You might have to go into another like program that you know, somewhere else. So when I was doing my prereqs at UNLV, I got through like my beginning like prereqs, and it was kind of rough for me. I was really going through it at that point. Nobody knew. And nobody knows why they're going through it unless it's like a situational thing where somebody passed away or you go through a breakup or anything like that. I was really going through it, and it was really hard for me to go to classes, and I had no idea why. So with that being said, I still passed all the hardest like prereqs there is for medical field. Didn't really feel like I had too much like mental like pressure going on up here. Like, the mental pressure that I felt was I need to learn all this information and pass my class, and that was like pretty much it. And so once like I was like halfway into my prereqs, I told my mom, you know, I think I need a break. And she was like, no, you don't. Like, just keep pushing. If you take a break, you won't want to go back. And I was like, whatever, fine. I didn't argue too much into it. I was like, for sure, she's right. I see that happen a lot of the time. You know, I hear it happen a lot of the time. I'm just going to be smart about it and just keep pushing. Then I came to her like another time and I told her, I was like, you know, I don't really know if nursing is what I want to do. And I didn't know if that was really true or not, but that was just like a feeling like I felt in my gut. I was like, I don't really think nursing is what I want to do. I don't really know what else I'd want to be. Maybe a lash tech, because I got my lash extensions done since like high school, probably like my senior year of high school or something. So I was like, that'd be cool, but to me, I knew that it wouldn't sound like a real career to adults or to like my parents or anybody. So I was just like, that sounds like silly to think that would be my career compared to nursing, you know? So that didn't really get much far with me, and it didn't get anywhere with my parents because they were just like, keep pushing. You wanted to be a nurse since you were 5. Like, what else would you do? You know what I mean? Like, I was just like, okay. The following term, I went to classes and I had zero motivation. I didn't know why. I thought it was just me being lazy or me being, you know, rebellious or something like that. And I basically failed 2 out of like 4 of my classes, and I had to retake it the following term, and that was just like a poopy feeling because 1, my GPA went really down, 2, like I don't really fail classes because I've always been a really good student. 3, I was just like, what the heck, like, ugh, you know, I had to retake a class. And then my scholarship money like ran out because I wasn't meeting requirements, and I was just like, crap, I have to, you know, come out of pocket for all this and stuff like that. I probably had like 1 or 2 more classes to take before I could apply for the nursing program at UNLV. And when I went to my counselor looked at my transcripts and was like, do you even want to be a nurse? And I was like, yeah. And he was like, well, you're not going to get into the program. I'm telling you right now, either you're going to have to find a different career or you're going to have to go apply somewhere else, because I'm telling you right now, like, you don't look like you want to be a nurse based off of your transcripts. And I was just like very shook. So leaving that conversation with my counselor, I really got like my wheels turning, and I was just like, he's saying I can't do it, my grades are saying I can't do it, like, I think they're wrong, but at the same time, like, he's probably right, you know? So honestly, it gets a little hazy for me right here, but I just know that either the following term or like whenever I didn't go back to school at UNLV, I decided to take a year off. I didn't know it was going to be a year off. And during that time of me being a year off, I was looking at other nursing programs. And during that time, the first few months of it, I decided to take one prereq, like online, like some tiny online school that you just pay a really cheap amount, and you know, you go at your own pace, but you have to pay every month. And then towards the end of my year, I did another class. I found this other school in Nevada that was brand new, and I was going to go to it. They didn't care what your GPA was. You're automatically enrolled into the nursing program, and you know, all you have to do is basically submit your enrollment and figure out your financial aid and everything like that. I felt excited. I was ready to prove everyone wrong, to prove myself wrong, you know, to get my GPA up. I was excited to finish what I started. I was excited to stop disappointing my parents by, you know, taking my year off. And my boyfriend was really excited for me. He actually pushed me to get back into school. You know, he was like, if this is what you want to do, why don't you do it? You know, I'll help you out with the enrollment process. I'll pay for your application. You know, I'll help you study. No matter what do you need from me? Like, let's do it. This sounds awesome. Let's do it. So I started that whole process, the enrollment, you know, talking to financial aid, getting everything situated. My first day of class, everything just, you know, whooshed over me. I felt depressed again. I felt like, oh man, it was so hard to drag my feet. It was so hard to click onto the classes. Like, everyone was asking me and saying they're so excited. Are you excited? You know, like, what did you learn today? Like, things like that. And I would just hush them away, honestly. Like, be like, yeah, I'm just really tired. Yeah, I just have a lot of homework. I have a test, or I got an A on my test. Things like that. But I got my GPA back high again, and I was passing classes, which made me feel great. And I don't know, I did the process to get all my shots, that I needed, and all of my school. I got all my school supplies for clinicals. I got my scrubs and things like that. And I was kind of like, I felt the same way, honestly. They were like, oh my god, we're so excited you're going to be in the hospitals or the clinics, you know, you're going to be doing real like nursing things, and that's so exciting. So and so did this when they went to clinical and this and that. And I was just like, yeah. And then I'd always try and change the subject because I wasn't excited, I wasn't happy, and I didn't want to disappoint anybody by like saying that, because at the truth of it, I had no idea why I wasn't excited about it. Like, duh, I should be excited about it. I wasn't bored with it. I wasn't excited with it, but I just was just depressed. Like, it was honestly just like the worst months of like it was like the worst month out of high school, I guess, for me. I literally felt like I was like living in California my junior year again, like just so alone and so unhappy. And I started getting really bad anxiety. Like, I'm not kidding you, the second I ended prereqs and started working like in the hospitals, like that's when I had really bad anxiety episodes. And it wasn't just like casual anxiety, it was like I was having panic attacks at night, and I don't know, like I couldn't form a sentence together, I couldn't breathe, I would just be crying hysterically afterwards and so exhausted. And then I'd have to go to clinical. I'd be up till like 2 in the morning crying, and then go to clinical at like 5 in the morning. Like, it was just awful. And the only person that saw that up front was my boyfriend, and he felt very bad for me that I was in that decision. At that time, I was talking about like, you know, like I don't know, like if nursing is what I want to do, but I don't know what else I want to do still. Like, this is 4 years plus into my nursing career, starting at UNLV to now, and I still didn't know what else I wanted to be. But deep down, like, I did know what I wanted to do. I was just too scared to say it. So when I finally figured it out, I was just like, no, I only have a year left of the nursing program. Why would I do that? You know, I've come so far. I put in so much money. Just get through it. Just graduate. And then I was like, and what if I do that and then I don't pass the NCLEX, and then I just look like a phony, and then I'm still failing and having to redo it. And I was just like, yeah, like I'm just gonna graduate. You know, I have 1 year left, and then I can do what I really want to do afterwards. Yeah, that was probably like the worst. Like, I had anxiety attacks. I had to start going to my therapist again, and I just was searching, like trying to like grasp onto anything to make sense. And it was just confusing to me, because I feel like I have never been the type of person to just try and grasp onto something. Like, I've always felt like I knew my purpose and place of things. Like, I always had the answers. I just came to realize that, like, I can't do nursing anymore. Like, I can't lie to myself about wanting this to be my career choice, no matter if I'm a year away, no matter if I'm 5 years into this, no matter if I'm like thousands of dollars into this. So I knew at that point what I really wanted to do, and that was to be a medical esthetician. I told myself I was going to just finish the term and withdraw, drop out, whatever you want to say, change my career choice. And I felt content with it. I felt good. I was happy. I was proud. And I went to bed that night excited to start my new journey, and bam, the anxiety hit me again. I was like going back and forth, like, just finish. Just finish. You can do it after. It's okay. Just finish. So the next day, I was like, you know what? I am going to continue nursing school as long as I pass my classes, because I had to repeat a class the following term because I got an A in the class, but on my final exam, it's called the HESI, I didn't pass it. And they said if you do not pass the HESI and you still have an A in the class and an A in your clinical class, then you can't pass. You have to retake. And when those results came in, I was like, wow, you know, like, I didn't pass. Like, what is wrong with me? Like, why? But I talked to myself and I told myself, this is what you said. You said if you could pass, you would stay, and if you couldn't pass, you would change your career choice now instead of in a year. So I sat on it and I took it all in, and I was like, okay, this is it. I'm gonna start looking into this school now, the medical esthetician school. I'm gonna go in, I'm gonna make a tour. This is it. And I felt free. Like, I felt such a huge weight lifted off my shoulders. I didn't feel embarrassed. I didn't feel like I was letting anyone down. I finally realized that I had to do what was best for me, and that it's my life, it's nobody else's life. And if they can't understand that, then they're either one, you know, lying to themselves about their life, or two, like, it doesn't matter because, you know, that's their life, this is my life. Everyone makes their own decisions, and everyone's doing just fine. So yeah, the last thing that was just weighing on me was telling everybody, and once I told everybody, I just felt great. And honestly, I told them all right before I went on a trip, so it made that trip even more the merrier. No stress at home, no nothing. Starting a new chapter in my life, closing a very, you know, hard chapter in my life, and being like true to myself and just happy and healthy. So yeah, that's how I came to this decision, and telling you guys makes me feel even more better and more empowered in my own decision. And I just want to tell everybody that nursing is really hard. If you're feeling depressed or anxious or anything like that, it comes with the territory. But at the same time, if it's not just because of the work, then you need to ask yourself, like, what else is going on here? And hopefully this helps you, you know, if you're going through the same thing that I was, where you're in a position where you're just trying to please everybody else but yourself. I hope you guys can maybe realize this now, that this is your life. And honestly, it doesn't matter who you hurt, because they'll come around to it eventually. And as long as you're not physically hurting anybody and you're not hurting yourself, you know, like, you shouldn't be hurting yourself just to please everybody. A career choice is a big decision. and it's your decision, and your mental health is your decision. And if those aren't going together, something needs to change. So I hope this helps you guys come to that conclusion. Hope this helps you guys with anything. I don't know if I related to you guys at all with this, but I'm sure I'm like leaving a lot of stuff out because this has been a really long journey for me. I try to sum it up as best as I can, but I just want to say thank you to everybody that has helped me during all these years in my nursing career. All of you guys that have stuck with me and helped me through making this huge decision in my life. I want to thank you guys for just being open-minded and, you know, being super supportive of me no matter what, being there for me if I've had a bad day or anything like that. So thank you so much, and it means so much to me. Obviously means a lot to me that I don't want to let anybody down, disappoint anybody, hurt anybody's feelings. So thank you for sticking around for all of it. Thank you guys so much for listening to this really long, probably all over the place video, but I just had to get it out there. And if you're interested, keep on watching my channel, subscribe, like this video if it helped you, and I'll see you next time.